There has been what is seen as I don't want to say a war on masculinity, but there has been this trend in the Democratic Party, or it's at least felt that the left is becoming more and more hostile to the things that are typically men.
What's going on YouTube? It's your host Bruce GNT, back with another video. And for this video we're going to talk about CNN pretty much addressing and talking about how there's like a sentiment that there's no masculine men within the Democrat Party. And I kind of have to agree. After the election, I kind of looked around to see, okay, they kept talking about, Joe Rogan, about how, Trump was able to win because he attracted masculine men, he represent masculinity, and the left was basically saying, hey, look, we need a man like Joe Rogan. And I went looking on it to see, okay, who do they have representing, the liberal side, the Democrat side, the left side. And for the most part, I can see, if we were to base it off of men following someone that they feel like represents them, I can see why there's a sentiment that on the Democrat side, there is no masculine men, because, no offense, the people that I saw represent the Democrat side was either, gay men, effeminate men, women that honestly talking, you can hear that they didn't really like men that much. And it wasn't like they didn't like men in the sense that they were gay. They didn't like men like they felt like men were just the source of all evil. And not to say there weren't some that weren't like that, but that was the vast majority that I came across and found. The average, straight guy just doesn't really sympathize with that. I remember I saw a video where they were talking about the whole male loneliness epidemic, and it was a gay guy and this girl, and when they started talking about it, they were like, ugh, we gotta talk about this. Like, it just seems so apathetic. And I could imagine that if I was someone that was wanting to indulge in their content, I would have been like, oh, I'm not gonna watch this because you pretty much just said F me, and then that was it. So yeah, but let's jump right into this. Let's not waste any time, and let's see what they have to say.
Is he right?
I mean, Eric Adams is still a Democrat-ish, right?
He does push. You think he's masculine?
No, he's buff
Yeah,
for 63 years old. I was going to say Obama. When they said right away who's the most. Now, he's slim, but he's athletic. He plays ball.
But is he right that Republican, well, first of all, let me just show you the numbers, because actually the numbers maybe do suggest this. For young men under the age of 29, the swing from 2020 to 2024 in Trump's favor is pretty significant. 49 to 48, Trump to Harris. It's almost tied with young men. Trump did very well with young people.
And let me just say this before she continues. Those numbers would have been higher. And this is coming from someone that I voted for him, and I spoke to people like just within my state and different states. A lot of people that wanted to vote for him, that were young men, the ones that voted for him, the ones that wanted to vote for him, and they said, you know what, because either they were black or whatever, or they felt pressured into voting for Kamala Harris because she was a black woman and everything like that. They voted for her, even though they wanted to vote for him. I know several people like that. And the ones that just didn't want to vote because, yet again, like I said, they didn't want to vote for her, but they didn't want to be like, they didn't want to vote for him because the whole aspect of them, they're like, well, I don't want to vote for him because X, Y, and Z. And a lot of black men especially fell into that. I know the amount of black men I knew that voted for her or didn't vote at all because they just didn't want to vote for him. Those numbers would have been higher. It's a lot. And that's anecdotal, but the very fact that I know more than 10, actually more than 15 that fit into that category, trust me, those numbers probably would have been higher.
Relative to what he normally does. There's something going on here.
No, and I mean, this was why, Joe Rogan was so influential in this campaign. Joe Rogan has an audience mostly of young men. There was this whole big drama about whether Kamala Harris was going to give an interview to him, wound up not doing it. I think is probably a mistake, although it probably didn't affect the outcome of the election. But I mean, I think, that guy said was pretty dumb, but it is not, it is true that Democrats have a problem, especially with young men. I mean, that is a real fact.
So to me, that, in a way, it validates what Clay Travis is talking about, because if you're trying to get young men, you're not going to get them on all policy points and all the... Yeah. No, Joe Rogan knows karate, and sometimes he talk about drugs. That's good enough for me. Pete Hegseth was in Germany this week doing squats with 220 on the bar outside for no reason. That's what the Democrat. I'm
I know.
I'm
I
being
think,
silly, but
and you know
I'm
what? One of the
serious.
other points that Clay Travis made, and I think this is true. We saw this in real time when Trump had the assassination attempt in Butler. That image of him raising his fist and saying "fight, fight, fight" was like a shot of testosterone in the arms of a lot of men. Mark Zuckerberg was like, "Oh my God." He's so cool.
And
Like
women learn
and now
karate.
look at where we are politically with some of these very people.
I can't speak for anyone else. No, that wasn't the case for me. I already made the decision that I was going to vote for him. That didn't really do much. That made me look at him and go like, damn, he might have just won for that. Cause I know a lot of people that looked at that and was like, yeah, that's what's up. For me, that had no bearing or effect on it. And it's not about the whole masculinity about or what he may seem to represent. It's just that it's funny when he spoke about men don't care about the whole policy points. That's what it was for me personally. And I know there's a lot of contention about what's going on in the policy points and everything like that. I know, trust me, I'm looking into it and I'm doing my own research. If you do a little bit of reading, I know a lot of people are reading at verse, but if you read a little bit, you'll see, oh, a lot of what they're saying isn't really true. But be that as it may, yeah, and some of the other people that I know that did vote for him, it had nothing to really do with the fact that he was hyper masculine or anything like that, or even with this. It just had to do with what the other side was offering, just wasn't it.
Politically toward Trump.
Those numbers that you just read, it's been happening for 10 years. This has been happening slowly but surely over time. I think that pollster in that clip earlier had said 2 out of 6 moderate men voted for Trump. Sorry, it was the majority of moderate men voted for Trump. Even over 20% of liberal men voted for Trump. There has been what is seen as I don't want to say a war on masculinity, but there has been this trend in the Democratic Party, or it's at least felt that the left is becoming more and more hostile to the things that are typically men. And you've seen John Fetterman talk about this idea of like patronizing, calling them bros, or that ad that looked like a spoof at the end of the race of like, real men do this. It's like, have you ever talked to a dude in your
I saw that ad and I was like, I'll show like a little clip of the ad.
Woman wants to be president?
Well, I hope she has the guts to look me right in the eye and accept my full-throated endorsement.
Because I'm man enough to support women.
Man enough to know what kind of donuts I like. Man enough to admit I'm lost, even when I refuse to ask for directions.
Man enough to not ban young women from reading Little Women.
Or one of those pants books that the sisters like.
I'm man enough to raw dog a flight. It sucked. Not worth it.
I'm man enough to be emotional in front of my wife.
In front of my kids.
In front of my horse.
And I thought to myself, I don't think any of these men up here are straight. Like, I'm not saying you can't be a real man and not be gay. It's just that they were trying to appeal to a certain demographic and they just missed the mark. I saw it and I remember thinking to myself, is this a spoof? Like, was this done by the right? Did the conservatives make this ad to make fun of the liberals or something? That's how bad it was. I know a bunch of men that seen that and they were just like, yeah, they shouldn't have released that. Because that was bad. That was real bad.
Life. So in James Carville saying, you know, we need to have less like yappy voices and more men talking. And there are many men in the Democratic Party.
Democratic messaging is too feminine. But Carrie, what do you think is the masculinity that they are attracted to in Trump?
I'm laughing because I just, no disrespect to you lovely men on this panel.
We do have
but you men or something. So, you know, you men or something. And I can see the appeal of Donald Trump being a very strong masculine man, and I can see him winning over men because I do agree the Democratic Party, for all intent and purpose, felt like a place for the others, and they tried to take on every issue that the Republicans didn't want. If you want to talk about trans, come here. If you want to talk about LGBTQIA, come here. If you want to talk about men and women, you know, in sports, come here. There were all of these things that I felt men wanted to say felt emasculating. It felt like, I'm not with that. I don't believe in that. And I'm gonna go over here because they're saying what I'm thinking.
And the abortion issue played a role in that. I mean, I think they did a political calculation.
And I think no one cared about
was
abortion.
Be the big thing.
I think no one cared about it. I think everyone thought that that was the issue, and when it was all said and done at the end of the day, I'm not saying I don't care about abortion, but what I'm saying is when Kamala made that one of her huge talking points, when Michelle campaigned for her, that was a huge talking point. And then in my mind, I'm all like, well, what happened to these people? I knew that people would be upset about that, and it felt as if it didn't matter, although it does. it felt as if it didn't matter because the conversation about manly men, as we just saw that young man say on the panel, what is his name again?
Clay Travis.
Yeah, I knew that.
Travis.
Yeah.
Is he right?
Yeah, she actually put up a lot of good points when what she said. She's absolutely right. It did, I wouldn't say emasculating because that's not what I felt, and I'm going based off of what I thought and when speaking to other men what they thought when it came to the Democratic Party. It just felt like the second part what she said, I'm not for that. It just started saying things that I don't really sympathize with and don't really stand for. So I was just like, okay, this doesn't really represent me, so I'm not really going to align myself there. And despite what people may think on this app and what I may say, I'm more middle than anything. You know, I didn't vote for Trump because I'm a conservative. Oh my God, no, I don't really rock with that. He just made the most sense during this election. If Kamala came out swinging, this is not what this video is about, but I'll say this. If she came out swinging, threw Biden on the bus and said, hey, you look, I know things have been not going so well these past 4 years, but I'm coming in with real change. And I'm going to make sure that the nonsense that's been going on the past 4 years, I'm going to change it. If she came in swinging like that and full on was like, look, I'm going to make sure that we don't go backwards because these past 4 years were trash. And the past 4 years before that were even worse, which we all know it wasn't. But I'm just saying, if she came out swinging like that and answered some questions, I probably would have been more likely to vote for her. But that's not what she did. So that's why I didn't. But that's a whole nother conversation. It was just an issue of, it felt like we were, as men, kind of getting attacked in a sense of, you're bad. When it came to the whole issue of abortion, it's not so much that people didn't care. We just got told, mind your business. You know, and I remember I got into a discussion with one of my friends about it, where it was like, okay, she essentially, which my issues on abortion, I never say issues. My stance on abortion is that I don't care. Do whatever you want to do. You know what I'm saying? My mentality, and I'm gonna touch on this a little bit because even though that's not what this is video about, just touch on like a teensy bit. My position is that, one, I know for a fact that people are out here not being safe. They're not using protection and they're not doing the things that's good for them when it comes to preventing having a baby. I know that for a fact. I talk to men and I talk to women, and I talk to a whole lot of men. I know they're not wrapping up, and I tell men all the time, wrap up, and they're like, oh, I don't want to. Oh, it feels so good. Oh, it don't feel the same. Oh, it don't fit. Oh, you know, oh, my pull-out game good. All right, cool. And then when I talk to women, they're not requiring men to wrap up, and they don't use birth control, which if you don't want to use birth control, that's fine. I have my own opinions about that because birth control wreaks havoc on a women's body and everything in between, whatever have you. Cool. But they're also not requiring men to use safe precautionary measures, i.e. condoms, and then other things that women can do as well. So my stance on that is that, look, I'm out here doing what I got to do. I'm not having no issues. The people that are out here not doing what they're supposed to do, they're the ones having the issue. I want to be able to do what I want with my body. Cool, you can do whatever you want to do. I don't give a damn. I really don't. But like I said, that's not what this video is about. Yeah, a lot of things that the Democratic Party was just about, that a lot of men just sat back and thought to themselves and was like, yeah, this doesn't really represent me. And if it doesn't represent me, okay, I could probably get with that. But then on the back end, they were also attacking men just for being men. Especially when it comes to white men. Like, white men for a while have been getting shots. I go on TikTok nowadays and people are just straight up saying, oh, if you're like a white straight man, you're just terrible. It's like, what the fuck did he do? He didn't do shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's crazy. And I'm black and I'm saying that. And I can say, yo, that's just wild. That's it for this video. I mean, this one has no choice but to be short. I already know that the Democrats have a, masculine problem, a masculine men problem, or just a men problem in general. Tell me what you think. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like, comment down below, tell me your thoughts. You might feel that I'm off, and you're free to say so. I don't really care. Just tell me exactly what you think. We can have a dialogue about it. Just be respectful. And subscribe if you want more, because there will be more. And I might talk about this topic a whole lot more, especially when it comes to like the whole masculinity thing and everything like that, because that's a big topic nowadays. But yeah, see you guys later. Peace.